Bethesda really started diving into allowing us to decorate and build our own homes with Fallout 4 and even to a lesser degree in Skyrim, so I had high hopes and expectations for the building system here in Starfield based on their growth in that department in their previous flagship titles. But unfortunately, the system in Starfield is more or less unchanged from Fallout 4's interface, and that means that there's a lot that Bethesda doesn't tell you about how to really get your dream home, looking the way that you want it to, and you're left to sort of figure it out on your own or look it up online. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down my top tips for how to modify and manipulate items and habitats in the game so that you can get everything looking clean and crisp. But before we dive into that, would you consider subscribing, as we are so close to hitting that 300,000 subscriber milestone, and if I hit it, then maybe my son will look me in the eye again. At this point, you probably have, an apartment, maybe a penthouse in one of the main cities in Starfield, or perhaps you've tried your hand at building your own home in the form of an outpost on a planet or a moon that was especially appealing to you. Now you want to make the space your own. This whole system is actually quite complex with several moving parts. Let's start with one of the most foundational skills, moving and manipulating items that you want to place. When you're in a home or apartment or outpost and you want to, let's say build a bed or a storage container, and you want it to sit flush against the wall, perfectly parallel to it. But every time you try to rotate the dang thing, it goes too far in one way and then too far in the other way when you try to rotate it back. And you go back and forth and back and forth. In Fallout, there was a button that you could hold down which would slow down the rotation speed. But in Starfield, that is actually hidden in the settings menu. So go to settings and then controls and scroll down to outpost item rotation speed and bring that baby all the way down to 1. Now you can rotate these items much more slowly and get it lined up just the way that you want. Continuing on the subject of moving and manipulating items, let's say you're looking to do some more fine details of your apartment. I like to collect, fancy whiskey glasses that I find out in the wild, or fancy bottles that I find. Maybe I find some limes in a nice bowl, and I want to put a bowl of fruit on my countertop. You know what I mean? Make it really feel like it's actually a lived-in space. Hey, you can do that easily. If you just drop the item that you want to place on the ground, you can hold the interact button that usually, picks up the item into your inventory. Just hold that button down, and you'll be able to move it to where you want. If you use the mouse buttons or the triggers on a controller, you can then rotate it on an axis. But if you want to change the axis that it's rotating on, hold the control button or whatever crouch is on your controller, and that will change the axis that you're rotating it on. But if you want to move these items around more quickly, you can simply enter build mode. So look at the item in build mode and click on it, and it will orient itself perfectly up and down and allow you to quickly place it anywhere in your home that you'd like. So just toss it on the ground, go into build mode, and then click on it. Now, a quick side note, a lot of people don't know that you can enter build mode without going to the terminal on the wall of your apartment and without going to your outpost beacon. See, here I'm inside my home, and there's a sandstorm going on outside. I'd like to do some building inside my home, but I want to go out there. I don't want to go out there and interact with that outpost beacon. Hey, all you have to do is open up your scanner and then hit whatever button you push to create a new beacon. If you've already got a beacon down or you're in an apartment, you'll just enter build mode. You won't actually try to build a new beacon. On PC, that's F for scanner, and then R for build mode. Easy peasy. So if you're trying to manipulate specific items, you chuck it on the floor, open your scanner, hit the outpost button. Now you're in build mode. Pick it up, put it where you want it to be, done. The next thing I want to talk about is how getting your property looking properly, you're going to need to invest in the right skills. There are 2 skills I want to focus on primarily here. The first being outpost engineering. Now, as you level up this skill, you'll get 2 big bonuses. First, you'll unlock new research topics that unlock new furniture and decorations for your home. That's huge. The second big bonus is that maxing out the skill tree makes it so building anything in your home or outpost will cost half as many resources, 50% fewer resources. That's massive, and will save you a lot of farming time when it comes to materials. That means more time building, less time collecting. Now, leveling up this skill, all you gotta do is build items in your outpost or your apartment. So you can just open up the build menu, and build 5 chairs or 5 tables or a chair, a table, a vase, whatever it is. Just use whatever you've got and build things randomly, and then you can just delete them, no problem. Speaking of which, I came back to my old dusty apartment in Aquila City, and that old chair that I had placed, hey, it did not match the aesthetic at all. That's a big deal, right? So I swapped it out with a new one that was much more rustic, and that takes me to one important detail that the game does not share with you. Anytime you delete something you built, whether it's a habitat or a chair or a resource extractor, the game will refund you 100% of the materials that it took to build that thing. So there's no worries. If you want to see how something looks in your apartment, you can just build it, and if you don't like it, you can just go ahead and delete it, and no resources will be lost. There's no penalty to you at all. The second skill in the science tree worth mentioning is the research methods skill on the first row. Since you're going to be researching before you can build new outpost modules, it's worthwhile to make that research cost significantly less. Researching the higher tiers can be exhausting because you need to track down a lot of rare materials. If you can cut those costs in half, you may as well save yourself some time and make it happen. And don't forget to take a Synapse Alpha injection in your aid inventory before you do your research to make it cost even less. So knowing what you know now, let's walk through a mock build process from scratch real quick. So I had a side mission that took me to this moon, and I thought it looked pretty friggin' dope. I found a great space between 2 trees to build a small tropical canopy cabin. So I tossed down my beacon and I got to work. One of the first things I noticed was that my beacon was really close to this gas vent. So anytime I fast traveled to it, I'd like take 2 steps forward and walk right into this gas vent and start taking damage. So I went ahead and opened up my build mode, and then I moved the beacon. Now you don't need to worry. You can move that beacon anywhere you want to. The build radius for your outpost will not move with it. That was decided when you placed the beacon down the first time. It set that radius, it's now locked. Now you can move that beacon anywhere and that radius will stay where it is. And the first thing I like to do is build a landing platform for my starship. That way my access to my ship's inventory is always uninterrupted while I'm building. Your starship tends to collect a lot of little knickknacks like glasses and vases and plants and decorations, and there's a reason for that, but I won't go into it into this video. It's kind of obnoxious. Your ship's just always collecting junk, but check your ship's miscellaneous and aid sections often, and you'll notice an increasing list of random items that you can easily use as decorations to bring your homes to life. Then I'm going to make sure that I have a power generator up and running of some kind, and now I'm ready to build my home. I start with the airlock, and the placement here is extremely important. You have to have some foresight here. The direction that you orient this airlock will dictate how the rest of your home is laid out. Think about where you might want rooms branching out, because I don't want these trees to get deleted. I like them, and I want my home to be nestled comfortably in between them. So adjust the rotation and the height of your airlock so everything else falls into place nicely. But remember, if you start attaching HABs to your airlock and you don't like how they sit, you can just quickly delete the HABs for no penalty and reorient your airlock. If the HABs don't want to attach at the positions that you're wanting them to, try tapping the rotate button, and that will make the HAB try to find a different connection point. Another quick tip, if you're setting up a living room area, hey, make sure that you lay out a rug first. If you put the couch and the coffee table down first, you are likely to run into issues where the rug won't want to go underneath them. So put the rug down first, save yourself the hassle. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time and listed out basically all the things you need to know to get yourself up and running and building your own spaces. Now, I have to admit, I'm a little bit frustrated at the limitations with the outpost system in Starfield. It seems like resource generation was the primary goal for Bethesda here, but I really want to be able to express more creativity like we could in Fallout 4 and build some really aesthetically unique and interesting spaces. So hopefully as the game continues to grow and develop, Bethesda will add more unique habitats, allow for some more fine-tuning freedom, include more furniture and decorations, and really let us go hog wild with our building. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and informative, and if you did, hey, please feel free to leave a like on the video and recommend it to a friend. Thanks so much for the support. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you among the stars.